Hello there, this is MGTOW Mind, and today I wanted to discuss loneliness. Now, as MGTOW, we have pretty good advantages, that being primarily freedom, financial success, and more time to work on ourselves and become better men. However, the downside to this is, and I believe this will particularly get worse as we age, is loneliness. So throughout my life, I've made many friendships. However, a lot of my friendships that I've made have been temporary. That's to say, I haven't kept many for over the period of 10 years. Most friendships I'd make have only lasted maybe 8 years, 5 years, 4 years. You know, it varies, but from the time I was a young boy aged 5 to what age I am now, I've only kept 2 friends from the time I was 5 years old that I'm still in regular contact with, that still talk to me up until now. And of course, at high school I've made a few more friends here and there that I keep contact with. But the point is, I've made a lot of friends, but very few of them still keep up contact with me. And I feel as I'm getting older, I'm sort of falling out of contact with these brothers of mine because they're sort of settling down with their wives or their girlfriends. They're having less time to go out. They're developing different interests. And as MGTOW, I don't really get a wife or a girl to settle down with, just because I wouldn't enjoy it, Like, I do enjoy talking to others, obviously to a certain extent, but living with someone would be a completely sort of different fiasco. And just for me, it's not my cup of tea to have some woman in my house sort of telling me how to live my life, ordering me around, commanding me and bitching at me, nagging at me 24/7. It sounds like hell. So that's why I'm MGTOW, to be honest. I just can't fucking hack women. I can't deal with their bullshit. And I might make a video on that in the future, but that's not important right now. So yeah, what was I? Yeah, a lot of my friends sort of made girlfriends and stuff, and they've sort of settled down. So as a result, I had to make new friends and form new relationships to get people to hang out with. But a lot of the relationships I currently have are relationships of convenience. That's to say, most of my friends that I have are either work buddies or, a few from my teenage years who enjoy going out clubbing. But we generally only go out whenever we're going out clubbing. I also have a few friends, who live close by, who I can kind of get a lift to the gym with, or walk with, or run with, do marathons together. But yeah, a lot of my friends I have are sort of, it's mainly because of mutual interests, that we sort of make these connections. But interests change over time. And I believe a lot of the people I'm currently friends with are thinking about settling down with a girlfriend. And I've sort of philosophized with them and talked with them a bit, why do you want to do this? And they sort of bring up a good point, and that is stability. A lot of my friends, and I believe this now from discussing it with them, would argue, friendships are only temporary, but very few friendships are permanent. As I've said, I've had 1 or 2 permanent friendships throughout my whole life. But yeah, the majority of my friends are sort of temporary. Like I lost a lot of friends whenever they sort of left the country to go to college or university, just simply because they went to a different country, so I couldn't really meet them anymore, which was unfortunate. And that's the thing, location barriers is a big thing. But yeah, so a few of my friends and I were talking together, and we sort of decided that family is sort of the only permanent sort of relationship that you have guaranteed through life, like your brothers, your sisters, and your parents. And even then, that's not always permanent. I mean, some MGTOW have had terrible parents, they've had bad brothers and sisters, and they don't talk to them anymore. Thankfully, I've been blessed with a decent family, a good family. And, that's definitely a permanent relationship in my life. It's some form of stability to me. But I got thinking about it because I have been living different lives. I've travelled around the world a lot, around the UK, getting various jobs, working in different countries there, and living in various flats and things. And it's a weird kind of life because, on one side of things, it's like, it's interesting because you're trying out new things, but then after it's all done, like whenever you move to a new location, all you really have is the memories, and you don't really have anything left over from that whole experience. And it's like, that's all I fucking have is basically memories. Memories are good, of course, but something I've begun to covet in people who have relationships is that form of stability. Like my friends who settle down with wives and whatnot have had girlfriends and relationships for like 20 years. Some of them are having kids now. And that to me is just, it's sort of something to envy in a way, because I know every time they wake up they sort of live their life in a stable routine day to day, whereas me, I'm sort of just moving from place to place, having to set up a new life all the time. And even then, whenever I do meet up with my old friends, it only lasts for a few days at a time, and then I'm off again to some sort of new adventure. But yeah, just as I've been getting older, I've begun to realise, now this isn't going to happen to me in a long time, but I realised older people sort of have a lot less of a social life, because they sort of fall out of society whenever they get retired, and they generally only stick with their spouse. But as MGTOW, we don't have a spouse to stick with, so whenever we retire, after we're done clubbing, pumping and dumping, and clubbing and pumping and dumping, by the way, that's only going to last up until our 40s. We're not going to be able to go out much more after that. I'm going to guess, even my work buddies who I meet from various time to time, I'm probably going to fall out of contact with them once I stop working. And yeah, so my 60s plus, I've sort of realised that there is some pressure to settle down and gain some sort of stability. One of my biggest fears is sort of, not having that stability coming into my 60s and sort of still living this life on the road. Because the whole idea of dying alone is daunting. I guess whenever I'm 60, I could always go out to Thailand and fuck a dozen hookers like a lot of expats are doing over there. Because you see a lot of older men doing that in particular. With ease, by the way, so that's always an option. But I think with humans in particular, there's this evolutionary trait, this sort of thing hardwired into our minds that sort of puts pressure on us to have kids, to have a wife. And you can see it in the Asian countries in particular. A lot of kids there to prefer to have male children, and that's because whenever the parents get older, the male children will take care and support the parents. Like, they will do all the farm work on the parents' farm and look after them in return for what the parents did for them whenever they were younger. That's why I think kids are... that's why we want to have kids so much in our minds, because of ideas like that. And that's why, male children are preferred, because female children generally get married off to different families over there. But unfortunately, as MGTOW, there is the higher probability we'll die alone, and it's a fact that we should face head on. We shouldn't hide it. I recommend you to think about this whenever you're sort of in the shower or you're driving on the way to work. Just sort of introspect for a bit and think, am I okay living alone? Because someday it is going to creep up on you, and you better just think about it for a while and sort of philosophize and come to your own sort of conclusions on this whole idea of living alone, and just sort of think for yourself about it and, work out if you're okay with that. But the only way, we can sort of have children as MGTOW really is, the only solution we have to loneliness and old age is surrogacy, because then we can have kids, and if we look after our kids well, they'll probably look after us whenever we're older. Or if you're in a past relationship and you're divorced, your ex-wife's kids, your own kids, may look after you well as you get older, and they might still talk to you. Or or the third option is settling down for women when you do get older, because maybe by that stage they'll be less likely to be gold diggers, and they'll have hit the wall and they'll be sort of desperate, so they won't be able to screw you over. However, that sort of violates the principles of MGTOW, so I'm generally opposed to that idea. But yeah, I believe the most effective solution to sort of loneliness is sort of not putting your reason to live on other people, you know? You got to find an internal reason for living, find a reason for living within yourself. That's to say, like a life's purpose, like a certain passion or a hobby. You want to find one of them, something that you can wake up in the morning and really put your mind to and enjoy. Personally, I have a few sort of plans for my old age. Like, I enjoy living out in the woods and practicing survivalism. So my old age, I may retire to the woods with some hunting gear and see how long I can live off the land for. The max I've ever lived off the land for in one session is about 6 months. And that was difficult. It will probably be even harder in old age, you know, with my immune system not being what it is. But just because I'm so passionate about survivalism and living off the land, it's something I may consider doing once I retire and have enough money to sort of do it. But yeah, I enjoy living with little to no worry because that simplifies life and makes it much easier. However, certain things like loneliness are quite important, especially as MGTOW to consider and think about. And yeah, I just want to leave you with that thought. Please put comments, likes, and subscribe for more MGTOW videos. Peace, my friends.